Did you buy a Walmart bike? Did it break on you? Today we're going to be getting into this Huffy Rock Creek and replacing the suspension fork. All right, so not a lot of you actually realize you can go back to Huffy or whoever the manufacturer is that you purchased the bike from, even though you bought it from Walmart. There's warranty, there's service information. You can go back to them and purchase the replacement parts for your bike. In this example, we have a new suspension fork. Yes, it's the exact same fork that we just trashed. So, I mean, you see here, it's a little tweaked. Now, granted, the bike's held up pretty good. You know, for a bike that costs, I think, $79 new, and I believe I got it on sale, so it was like $59. $59 for a full suspension bike. You know, gets a kid out, gets him riding around the neighborhood and whatnot. It looks cool. It's not really trail worthy, and that's where the issue happened. They actually slammed this into a tree. So, granted, I've seen steel forks, I've seen chromoly forks, steel, bend. So it happens. You know, I've been on the racetrack before, BMX racing. I've seen kids slamming other kids, and their race is over because their forks are bent. Nobody brings spare forks to a race. So today we're going to remove these, put these on. Now this fork cost me $30, which is a far cry from buying a cheaper Rock Shock or even a used replacement fork a lot of times. You know, they're still asking $100 for a fork, and you'd have to make sure it would work, cobble it together maybe. This is a direct replacement. It's going to fit on here. And again, through Huffy, through any of these companies, you can get replacement rims, brakes, grips, the stems, the saddles. It's limitless. You can buy all the components for this bike as you trash them. So if you say trash your front derailleur and your local bike shop wants, you know, $30 for a front derailleur, and you're like, for a bike that costs $50, you can go back to Huffy and, you know, get you a new derailleur. You can get a new crank set. That's if the bike's not under warranty. The warranty works great. I've had the warranty an issue before where I got the bike out of the box and I found the back of the seat was busted on one of the models. So call them up. No hassle. You have the parts in about a week's time. They ship them out to you. Comes FedEx. So we're going to get into this fork because I know that's what you're waiting for. Swatch it out and get this thing back on the road. All right, so first things first, we're going to cut her out of the plastic. Make sure everything's here that we need on it, like the race on here. So just trying to be careful not to scratch the paint. Right down the middle on it. All right, so we have here a brand new fork. Okay, so I've taken the liberty of removing this from the plastic. We have a brand new fork here. It's got the race already installed on it, so that saves us a little work. Check the threads on here, make sure the threads are good and they're not messed up, so we don't have to go over with a file and clean them up. So make sure everything looks good on it. The posts for your brakes are good. Everything's clean, and she's ready to install. So we're off to get over here now and start tearing this apart. So we're going to start with this. We're going to take this apart here. Now when I put this in, I use a little bit of lube, so hopefully she comes apart easily. Find the right size on this sucker. There we go. Oh yeah. A little bit of grease goes a long way. We're just going to drape this off to the side. And already loosened these up previously, but you could use some channel locks. I got two different pairs here. two different styles. These are like Robo Grip. They're kind of spring loaded. These are some regular kind of locks. You can use a crescent wrench, adjustable wrench. You can use a regular wrench. I don't have wrenches big enough. I mean, I do, but not here with me right now. So these come off. You have a nut. You have a washer. You have another little knurled nut that goes on there. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because this will all fall out. So our next step, I'm going to pull these brakes off here, take them out of the way. Nope, too big. Let's go down to our 5 mil. Break that loose. Run it on out. Something I probably should have done already is take this cable out of here. All right. And the bolts are the same from right to left. We just wiggle these right on off. Keep in mind you have a little spring in there that you're going to have to put into the hole. Take note in which hole it came out of. And probably just tuck this off to the side, out of the way, so there's none to be in the way. Again. Make sure you note what hole that was in. This happened to be in the middle hole here. So we're good on that. So now all we have is the fork with the wheel on it. We can get the wheel out of the way. Probably gonna be, gonna shoot for a 15. I got these little stubbies, see if I can get it off with that. Then we got the safety washers on there. You want to make sure you retain those because they fall into these little holes up here. And the nuts do come loose. Keeps the wheel from falling off. There you go, we're ready to drop this out of here. You're going to want to hold this. Keep it from falling out because you have your bearings up in here. Now it's a good time to go in and repack your bearings while you're at it. Alrighty. Voila. I'm just going to take and transfer these over. These do have some fresh grease on them. This service not that long ago. Add some more fresh grease to it. My attitude is you can't really grease it enough. Remember how the cables were on this. Now when you tighten these up, you want to take the slop out. You don't want to go super tight so is that you're crushing the bearings or the race in here. So if you wind up doing that, you're going to ruin the bearings, you're going to ruin the race, and then you're going to have to get new bearings, possibly new races. Just give it a little snug. Not, you know, not too tight or anything. And you have that little notch on there that lines up with the notch that's on the fork. It's on the back side of that. And most of these forks are going to have that. All right. So now your washer is pretty much going to keep you from tightening this and over torquing that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold on to that anyway while I give that a little snug. So we're good. Again, it's not anything you have to go like, oh my God, torque with. You want to double check it again, make sure it's free. You know, give it a good wiggle, make sure you don't have any slop in there, but that it still turns freely and you have just a little bit of friction to it. So, and then we can go ahead and pop your handlebars back in there just to kind of get them out of the way. Because when we get the bike back down, we're going to put it back together and get them set right. We can go and get our brakes back in here while we have the wheel off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of grease on here too, because this is bare metal. We don't want the moisture getting in there and expose and rusting that because it's exposed. So smear that on there. Just a nice light thin coat. You don't want too much, you don't want too little. You wipe it off. Again, you don't want to get it on the pad surface or anything. She's being tricky. There we go. Take our bolt, and again, the bolts have a little bit of Loctite on them, so you don't want to get any grease on there. You don't want to get any grease down in the hole, because that'll contaminate any Loctite that you do use, or any that was on the bolt. When you have the dried Loctite on there, I do tend to not reuse any, as long as it's in good condition. That's probably the wrong answer, but on something like this, there we go. Good spring tension on that. Get our other brake here. Get that on there. Line that up. And on this fork, there's 3 alignment pins for that. So you can adjust it as you need. There we go. So if you find you just couldn't get enough tension on it, you can move it up or down. If you didn't have enough or you had too much tension, these are going right back in the middle position. And when we're done and we get the wheel on, I'll do another brake alignment. Make sure when we pull the brake lever that the brakes pull evenly on it. There we go, just snug it up. Make sure the brake moves nice and evenly. It's not bound up or anything. Take your wheel. Check your direction if you have a directional tire. We can begin to put this back on. tricky trying to juggle the washers and get them lined up right. This side came off my hand. And the nice part about this is for $30, I'm salvaging a bike that's otherwise in really good shape. I'm not throwing it away. I'm not scrapping it for parts or anything. And he can ride it around. And if he outgrows it, he can give it to somebody else to use. Or somebody else in the family can use it even. Double check the tension on these. Hate for these to come off. There we go. These reattached here. Going to give this a little snug here. All right, so we're going to get out of the stand. We're going to check the brakes. We're going to check the alignment of the bars and the stem and make sure everything's good on this. It will be pretty good. All right, so we got the bike out of the stand. We're trying to line it up here, kind of like the little fine-tuning taps on it. Do what we can, get it as straight as possible. Got this the height it was before. This old quill stem is snug. And we're good to go, right? Well, since we got a new fork on here, we want to make sure everything's good. And the brakes, well, they're kind of dragging a little bit. So it's just not sitting quite where it was. So we do have to do a brake adjustment on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back off just a little bit on this. I'm going to stay with the pads on. And then the one pad's off to the side a little bit. So we're going to do a little more brake adjustment on it. And hey, you know what? For $30, we just salvaged this bike that's lightly used, in really good shape, and hey, you can't beat it. You know, contact the manufacturers. They'll send you a parts list. I got mine in an email. I was able to look through it, see the components I wanted. Now the fork wasn't actually listed on there, but I contacted them again. I said, hey, this is what I need for the bike. I didn't see the part number listed. They got right back to me the same day with the part number, the phone number to contact them at, and I called them. There was no hassle. They took the part number right away. They took my credit card information right away, and they shipped it out. I had the part within a week, came FedEx, and here it is on the bike. Simple to do, and they're going to be back out riding as soon as I get these brakes set up. So Walmart bike, cheap. Bike fix, cheap. Keeps them riding. So there you go. Bike fix on the cheap. Have fun. Keep riding. And if you liked the video, you found it informative, give the video a like. Consider subscribing to the channel while you're at it. You'll get notified every time I put out a new video. And hey, have fun, keep riding.